You've tuned into The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lane. Gardening, it can be challenging, but with these simple insider tips, you'll reap huge rewards. Now, let's tune into today's Mountain Gardener with Ken and Lisa. And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lane, here every week talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. And things are flying. They're going into bloom like crazy. This week, the lilacs started to open up. There are a lot of different kinds of lilacs, but I thought I would focus this segment on native plants. So a lot of the native, naturally growing plants are starting to come into the garden center. And did you know there's over 4,000 native plants in Arizona? And this where the desert meets the mountains, that's this central part of the state, Central Highlands is what I call it, are some of the most beautiful, stunning types of native plants. Thought I'd just share 8 of my favorites you can buy at the garden center. They're in bloom, they're showing off right now, and they're ready to plant. And they'll take on whatever we throw at them, the nastiest of soil, the windiest of conditions, the bright, sunny, blistering hot. They just thrive. They do well. And so they're the number one. And you folks out in the valley areas, this is Chino Valley, Prescott Valley, Paulden, those areas, bear grass. There's a grass growing out there. It's an evergreen, gets up about, I don't know, chest high or so, maybe almost chest high, above hip high. Bear grass is a very elegant, stiff-tined, just rigid, upright, proud grass. Now, a lot of folks like to think of that as a yucca, but it's not. It has a white flower, sort of like a yucca in the summer, but really it's uniquely a grass of Arizona. It grows wild here. Get it established, get it up to size, and you never have to care for it. Again, it just goes by itself. The only maintenance you do on bear grass, like bear grass, is you cut off the flower in midwinter. There's a flower stalk, kind of a white flower. You just cut that off, leave the grass. It stays evergreen. It's wonderful. So it's a great little plant for here. Of course, the number one thought of, I wish I had a different name besides California poppy. I would call it Arizona poppy, but it thinks Arizona is its home. So they're starting to bloom orange right now. So it's a natural wildflower. And it grows out hillsides. Will be covered with California poppy. And you can grow this so easily yourself. You can either chuck seed out there, it will take off. There's a few tricks to making it go right now. Or we have full-on established plants for like containers and raised beds. And plant one up by the driveway, and the seed will spill over top of, down that slope that goes, that you're trying to hold in. California poppies are that tough. And so if you wanted to try seed, the insider tip, so we've got one that's called the California Poppy Mix that we put together. It's got reds and whites and oranges and yellows. It's a whole mixture of California poppies. Okay, there's a lot of different colors of that particular plant. If you're doing seed, a few seed go a long ways. Here's the insider tip, especially right now if you're doing it. Take the seed, take it home, go, I'm going to go plant, get your soil ready, and then throw those seed in the freezer. This seems kind of weird, but California poppies have this real hard outer shell. And so that freeze-thaw cycle cracks open the hull so the seed can germinate. You'll get better germination rate. It's a real game changer, especially as we're ending this frosty time of year. We're getting into actual spring, summer season. It's beautiful all the time. So California poppies need that freeze thaw. So throw it in the freezer, leave it there a couple days, bring it back out, do it one more time, and then go plant them, and they will germinate within days, they'll start germinating. But California poppy, you can grow naturally. And once you have one, you're going to have dozens from that point forward. They're just that easy to grow. A true wildflower. One that's a little bit lower elevation, you folks out in Cordes Junction, Verde Valley, Sedona, you're famous for this one, desert marigold. So it's sort of like California poppy, only it has gray foliage instead of green foliage, and it has yellow flowers instead of orange. But desert marigolds are kind of one of those, easy to grow, burst of summer color. It's a short plant under knee high, but it just has this bright, cheery, it just screams, I'm summer. Just enjoy me. And butterflies fly all over it. Just a true, true wildflower for Arizona. Um, Butterflies you're going to have more butterflies. It's a companion plant with California poppies. Poppies bloom in the spring. Desert willows bloom in the summer. So if you want a rotation of things going through there, that's the way to do it. Probably my favorite shrub. That's just easy care. I have a lot of favorites. I like manzanita, but one of my favorite cotoneasters is gray leaf cotoneaster. If you're hiking out in the dells, you're hiking out to just in the hills, hill country, you're going to see this beautiful kind of hip high shrub that's got this gray blue foliage to it. In the spring, it's got a white flower, and then here's the claim to fame. Through winter, it's got red berries that cover it. And so the birds are going to love you for that. Again, get it up to size, and then you never have to water, care, trim. It's not mangy looking. It kind of keeps its shape all by itself, doesn't take a lot of pruning. Just super easy care. And the reason cotoneasters are so tough, animals, they got a taste that animals just, they don't like. And so they're not going to be eating on your cotoneasters, any variety, but especially the gray leaf varieties. And then it's got every season's covered. It just shines every spring. It's got flowers. Summer, it's got this berry forming through fall, holds through winter. It's evergreen with gray foliage. It looks really good in these darker colored rock yards. So that lighter colored foliage just really pops. So it's a great, easy one to design with. And then manzanita, I mentioned. There's 3 types of manzanitas we have here at the Garden Center. So there's a traditional head high called a Howard McMinn. Then you've got a hip high called, what are those? There's 2 of them, Panchito and Chieftain. They're kind of half that size. Sometimes you don't need a huge evergreen shrub right next to the patio. Sometimes it's nice to have a little bit shorter one. So Panchito or Chieftain are the 2. They look same thing. They look exactly like a manzanita. Same leaves, same bell-shaped flower, same red bark, but it only gets hip high. And then you've got kinnikinnick or bearberry. It goes by several names, but it's a ground cover manzanita. It only gets ankle high and then spreads like this. Beautiful, spilling over rocks, that kind of stuff. All are evergreen, all are robust, native growers. I don't even know if I'd put these things on a drip irrigation. I'd probably water them by hand because they're so hardy. Manzanita is a great little plant. Be careful if you've got heavy clay soil out in the valley areas. If you got heavy clay, manzanita likes some drainage. You might have to amend the soil or prep it a little bit more than you would other plants because it does not like to be wet. It likes to be dry. Of course, the number one, what we're famous for here in the mountains of Arizona, ponderosa pine. Ponderosas are a native. They're huge. They get 100 feet by a girth on it that you can't put your arms around with a few hundred years. So it's going to take some time. So ponderosa pines are fabulous. Long needled pine, central leader with this main pine trunk. It just gets real big. So if you want that fragrance of just the mountains, ponderosa pines, pinyon pines too. Ponderosa pines are your ticket. And you get that wind that goes to the needles. You can hear this. Oh, it's just wonderful. Just relaxing. Puts you right to sleep. It's therapeutic. Ponderosa pines are a natural here. One that's not native, but it acts like it. It thinks it is. So we kind of put it in that list because it's so tough. It's really a number 1 seller. It's Russian sage. That's the reason they call it Russian sage. A Russian general he was a botanist. He had a campaign in Afghanistan of all places. And when he found new plants, he just went, whoa, that's pretty cool. I'm going to introduce that, take it home and try it. So it grows in the same elevation, dry, arid, extreme temperatures. Russian sage just naturalizes here really well. Blue spiky flowers up about chest high, just all summer through all autumn. It's amazing. One of my favorite native trees, sweet Katy desert willow. Desert willows. Now, desert willows, there's a wild tree that grows out in Dewey, Humboldt, Cordes Junction hillside, Skull Valley. Gets about mid-teens, so 12, 15 feet tall. Has this beautiful bell-shaped flower to it. And the new variety, sweet Katy, doesn't put bean pods. So it repeat blooms over and over and over all summer long. It's an amazing native tree. We got a lot in store for you this show. Don't go anywhere, but got to take a quick break. Be right back after this. Watters Garden companion plants in May are Indian hawthorn, purple robe locust, Prescott sunshine geraniums, and vining akebia.
Akebia is a super vigorous vine with dangling fragrant flowers.
She proliferates up arbors, pergolas, fences, and stunning as a ground cover to retain hills.
One of the fastest growing evergreen vines you can plant in the gardens.
You'll only find the hardiest vines at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. And we are back with Lisa Watters Lain in the studio. She comes each week with your garden question. Just what are people talking about? And there are lots of questions coming in this peak of the season, peak of spring, people flying in, people coming in with baggies of bugs, leaves, frost damage, thrip damage, all kinds of stuff happening. What's this plant? Phone. How many phones do you think you look at per day?
I don't even want to think about it. I really don't.
It's a lot. So we probably we spend more time waiting for people to find stuff on their phone than we do actually answering garden questions sometimes.
I get it. Always. I get it sometimes. But if you know you're coming in and you have a picture, maybe bookmark it or something.
Yeah. So this is about questions. So Lisa's here to kind of field some of your questions. And I had an Earth Day event in Prescott Valley.
Yeah.
We had like 120 kids out there.
Well, that's fun.
They were from first grade to eighth grade.
Wow.
So teenagers to first graders keep their attention. Look, squirrels. To teenagers, just try to get them to say something and everything in between. So I got them all engaged because I said, listen, if you can stump me, I can't answer one of your questions, garden questions, I'll give you a flower. So now all the seventh graders were totally engaged. Anyway, it was fun activity. Prescott Valley did a great job with their Earth Day event on Monday. So fun stuff.
Well, good. Glad you did that. But yeah, we do have questions. Our first one is from Mike. So he wants to grow a few tomatoes and peppers in containers. Wants to know what size container do you recommend?
Sure.
And also what soil, what additives, what's the best way to grow those guys in containers?
Yeah. This is super easy, Mike. This is super easy. Go at least 12 inches, maybe 14. And you want to be at least 12 inches deep because tomatoes like a lot of soil. They like deep soil. And so not a huge pot. I mean, if you had a whiskey barrel or something, you could probably grow 2 tomatoes, so one on each side. Put some radishes on the outskirts, so you have fun with it. Now, the soil is the tricky part. So soil is everything. So if you can match the exact soil those plants are grown in, and add more soil into a container and just plant that plant into more of what it knows, guaranteed success every time. Robust harvest. I mean, we're talking tomatoes. You better be ready because they're going to be growing like mad. So now what is that? And so for us, we call it Watters potting soil because that's our growers mix. We developed that 2 decades ago. So we tweak it every once in a while. It's a recipe that you tweak like a cookie recipe. We're tweaking that and we're trying to figure out, okay, is there anything that grows better? And we'll put it side by side and test different kinds of soils. We'll put marigolds or tomatoes in the same different kinds of soils and see which one grows best. Nothing grows better than Watters potting soil, especially edible things. Not edible. You can't say edible anymore, can you?
What would you say?
Well, actually, you could grow edible stuff. You can grow pot in Watters potting soil. It'd be great. So it's a 5-5-5 organic fertilizer, lots of peat moss and perlite, and there's a recipe to it. And so just fill your pot up with that and plant your plant. That's it. Now, if you've got old soil left over, you want some freshness. So plants use up the soil. It loses its vitality just because it looks like it's rich there. It's actually sucked all the good stuff out of the soil. So you want to introduce new potting soil in containers every year. So if it's a really big container, I'll try to dig out that old root from last year, try to get a big ball and just get some extra soil out of there so I can introduce some fresh potting soil. I may not replace all of it every year, but I'll replace a good chunk of it so I can introduce new potting soil every year. That's why one year you go, wow, it did so great. And this next year it didn't do so good. What did I do wrong? It's the soil. The soil is everything. Now, when you go over to Depot and Lowe's and the box stores and the marts and you're going to see a wall of confusion. There's so many kinds of soil. They got rose soil and container soil and pot soil and filled bed soil, and it's crazy. You really want a good potting soil. It's made for pots to fill up, and that's a grower's mix. Or if you can find the grower, find out who grew that tomato, who grew it, and then ask them if they've got some extra soil. Of course, that's all we have here. So that's what we sell. But Watters potting soil, fill it up. Now, the other thing you'll get confused. You'll do your homework, go do that internet search, and you will be dumbfounded by the advice. Don't go to TikTok or Reels or some of these others, or they'll just confuse you. Fill up the bottom with Coke cans or water bottles or all kinds of stuff. Don't do any of that. The more soil you have in there, the better, the more robust, the easier it is to keep that plant watered in the heat of summer. The soil is like a big sponge. It holds the nutrients and the moisture, and you want as much of it as possible. And but the roots don't go down that deep, but the water does, and the plant will actually wick that water back up to its roots. Water can go up against gravity if that plant wants it. It's like a straw, it just sucks it right up to the top. So I'd say don't put styrofoam peanuts. That's just environmentally wrong in so many ways. Don't put Coke cans and all these other mythical things they tell you to do. Just put soil from the top, about an inch from the top, all the way down, plant your tomato and watch them grow. There you go.
Any other additives, gypsum, yada, yada?
For potting, for a container, no. In the ground, yes. Now, is there a fertilizer you could use? If you're using flower power every couple of weeks with potting soil, you're going to have tomatoes the size of your fist. They're going to go crazy. So we can talk fertilizers later. Again, our potting soil, if you're doing ours, Mike, I assume you are because you're asking us the questions. It's got you covered for about the first 3-4 weeks because we put a natural organic fertilizer in the soil because we're trying to stabilize it. But then the plants will run out. They'll use it. And then they're going, oh, it's growing so fast. Now what's going on? Hit it with flower power, and man, it will take off. I mean, just immediate, like that day, it'll start taking off again.
Okay. I think we covered that one.
Yeah, too much. That was this weekend's article too. So,
well, we have another one that's kind of related, but not. So Ellen was in. She saw a bunch of our beautiful rose trees that we just got in, and they are spectacular. She wants to know, will they grow in a pot? And if so, do you have to do anything special in the winter with them?
That's actually a great question. So no, yes, they grow great in a container. I'd say bigger than a tomato-sized pot. So you're probably 14, 16 inch. So you're bigger round because rose bushes are big. They just get large, especially a tree. So I would say at least 14 to 16 inch. Bigger is better. And then plant your plant. That's beautiful. What you see in all the magazines, a tree rose in the middle of a pot with alyssum around the outer edges, underplanting of flowers overflowing that container is spectacular. You can do that. Now, how do you water it? Well, when it's June and it's 95, probably every day or every other day, you're going to water that thing. In the winter, specifically, she asked, what do I do in the winter? Keep it watered. Don't let the plant go dry as long as the plant is moist. So an insider tip, just like this is Ken and Lisa, we're just your friends, neighbors. We're just working for us. We have over 50 pots. And so if we hear a real cold snap's coming, oh my gosh, it's going to be brutal. Everyone runs to the grocery store. They empty the shelves because we might be stuck inside for 36 hours. So just a day and a half. Water those plants before that cold event comes because a hydrated plants have antifreeze in the structure of them naturally. And if you keep those moist, they'll just naturally take care of themselves. There's not a lot to it. And so that's really, it's that easy, really. It's actually easier to grow in a container than it is in the ground.
Yeah,
sometimes you don't have to dig a hole. The soil is perfect. It drains perfectly. It's great stuff. So the roses are here at Watters Garden Center, kind of famous for our roses, tree roses, couple sizes, several hundreds of roses came in and more to come. So Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners, we're out of time, but we'll be right back after this. Watters Garden companion plants in May are Indian hawthorn, purple robe locust, Prescott sunshine geraniums, and vining akebia.
Akebia is a super vigorous vine with dangling fragrant flowers.
She proliferates up arbors, pergolas, fences, and stunning as a ground cover to retain hills.
One of the fastest growing evergreen vines you can plant in the gardens.
You'll only find the hardiest vines at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. So we just received a very large load of native yuccas. Now, we don't grow a lot of cacti up here at this higher elevations. Saguaros, we're just past where they grow. We don't have, really we grow two, well, maybe three. We grow choyas or teddy bear cactus or jumping cactus, and we grow a puntia or prickly pear cactus, a lot of different varieties. But other than that, we don't grow that many. We really grow very nice agaves and yuccas, those two. So agaves, that's the century plant. That's the one that grows the rumor is once every 100 years it blooms and has this huge stalk that grows up 15 feet up in the sky, a great pollinator, and then it falls over and spreads and seeds itself 15 feet over there from the flower. So that's century plant, blooms in your backyard. Okay, it's probably going to bloom excuse me, once every 20 years, but it's because you're caring for it. But in the wild, once every 100 years, that's the name century plant or agave. There's 3 or 4 varieties that are very hardy. They're very beautiful that grow here. They winter over. Then there's yuccas. There's a lot more varieties of yuccas that grow here. So, and there's 3 basic, most popular varieties. I thought I'd share the 3, and there's more. Do your homework or come in and see us. We can show you all the varieties. They come in gold colors and cream colors and greens, and they've got red flowers and yellow flowers and white flowers. They're just all pink flowers. They're all over the place. But the 3 main variations. So red yucca, number 1 seller. It gets up about, the foliage is knee high or so, and the flowers hover above that, grow up to about 4 feet, so about hip high. So the flowers hover above the foliage, and they're red. Hummingbirds just love them. They just think that's why they're so popular. Animals don't seem to eat them. Low water, they take our wind, our sun. They just have a lot going on for them. And so it's been around for a lot of years. Now we're trying to get better reds. So it used to be, 20 years ago, they had kind of a pinky red or muted red. It wasn't true red. We're trying to go, people want real red. Let's try to get red. So we've been developing that. And now there's a new yellow variety. So it's got a sunflower color. Same plant, is blonde or redhead. Which one you want? That's the difference. The plant is the plant. Same plant. Spiky. It looks like a grass almost. It's evergreen. And the only maintenance you do with yuccas is in the winter, you cut back the flower stalk. That's it. You don't cut the foliage or do anything else. Sometimes you might clean up the foliage at the bottom as it touches the ground, has some dead leaves, but really, you don't really prune on it. It's very easy care. There is a variation of that, 2 of them. One is called the giant yucca. It's that same plant on steroids. It gets head high. I mean, it's not just knee high. We're talking, it is substantially larger. So it's perfect for up against fence lines, that corner of the yard. You want an accent piece in the middle of that flower bed, that garden bed, that native cactus garden. That's the giant yucca. So it's got the same plant. The foliage gets probably chest high and the flower goes to head high and above that. It's just magnificent. I mean, it's really got some structure to it. It's amazing. Same hardiness, same wind, same sun, just bigger. And then we got the opposite. We've got what's called brake light yucca, which is a dwarf variety of the red yucca. So it's for containers and raised beds and smaller spaces. And the true color of the flower is like a brake light, thus the name brake light yuccas. It's a dwarf. Maybe the foliage is maybe a foot high, if that, just above ankle high. Then the flowers hover above that, so maybe 18 inches with intense, bright red flowers. So you've got miniatures, you've got your standard red yucca, and then you've got your giant red yucca. And they're all 3 companions. If you want to really mix it up and be like, I am a gardener, I know what to do, plant one of each. Now you get the stair step or birthday cake effect. Got a big one, medium one, small one. You just kind of wrap it around and it just looks like you've got your design style going on. So lots and lots of natives here at the garden center. There's softleaf yucca. I could go on and on. You can mix those in with your agaves or century plants. Another name for a century plant is artichoke agave, because as it matures, it looks like a giant, like huge artichoke, has that shape to it. Very striking, very pretty. And so these are plants you kind of plant in the yard. I don't know if I would even put them on a drip system. I think you could just water them by hand, get them started, and they would thrive on their own from that point forward. What I generally do is I'll put them on the drip system. Or the allergies are kicking up on the drip system. And then as soon as they're up to the size I want, I bend back that irrigation and I don't water it anymore. Just let it go on its own. So a little fertilizer, bring out the color of the flowers, but that's about it. Okay, that's it on Yucca's quick lesson. Went deep. Got more with Lisa Watters Lain coming in with her segment right after this.
Watters' companion plants in May are Vining Akebia, Indian hawthorn, Prescott sunshine geraniums, and purple robe locusts.
Incredible long clusters of purple flowers in May that look just like wisteria flowers hanging from this local bloomer.
The 8-inch fragrant flowers cover the tree profusely.
Super hardy and drought tolerant with a brisk growth rate of 2 feet in 1 year.
It's just the perfect backyard shade tree.
You'll find the shadiest trees here at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
And we're back with Lisa Watters Lain. She comes and just shares her garden insight, what's going on in her own gardens, or what she's seeing here at the garden center, just kind of a different perspective on gardening. Lisa is an extraordinary gardener and with a lifetime of garden experience, just because, well, she was born and raised in the back shed here at the garden center. Her parents started back in 1960. Well, I'll say 70, 70, well, 60s. We're 60s childs, aren't we? Children.
I'm not 60. Oh,
Not
60s child.
60s.
Yeah.
I didn't say
Well,
your
you
age
can pretty
out loud
much
over the
guess
airwaves.
it,
That'd be
but-
like the ultimate insult. Oh my gosh. I'm glad you did.
Oops.
So married a lot of years.
Mhm.
We've gardened with a lot of different properties. We farmed at different places. We're just we've learned a couple things.
You know what's
Welcome.
fun is we've passed that along to our kids. So
Yeah.
our daughter lives in Austin. They're in a house, and they're finally like, okay, we need to landscape the house. So they're asking, what do you think? How does this look? Which is better? And it's just fun to see them. I mean, even though they
Yeah.
grew up in it, it's fun to see them get out and doing their own landscaping and yard work and doing all that fun stuff.
Even the kids that don't have houses, they're big into house plants in
yeah.
a big way.
Mhm.
So actually, we've got all of our kids except one. She's still flexible. She's still a manager of like Murdoch's in Texas. If you Texans, you know what that is. And so she's a manager there. And so she's always hopping over for a new store opening, then back over here. She's flexibility.
Mhm.
Flexible is her thing. So she rents a very nice apartment overlooking the pool, but she still loves house plants. in a
That's
big
true.
way.
Big way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So, anywho, back to us. So, when I started thinking about, I was inspired this week because we got so many beautiful things in. We've got geraniums and petunias and million bells and lobelia and lobularia. I mean, you name it, we got it in.
color.
So I was very inspired when I came home one day and I looked at our pots and went,
They're uninspiring.
they're very uninspiring. So it made me think a lot of people, when we get through winter, it's hard to keep those pots looking really pretty in the wintertime. I've got a few pansies that kind of are hanging out in there. But I realized I need to redo a lot of our pots.
It's
And it
time.
made me realize probably a lot of other people need to do theirs as well. And kind of how do you do that? So sometimes it breaks our heart to pull out plants that are underperforming, shall we say, in those pots. But what I would say is it's okay.
Yeah.
Pull them out. Maybe you can move them to another part of your yard if you want. but it's okay to throw them away. Or if you're really guilty, put them on a neighbor's porch or something. I don't know.
They're not puppy dogs. They're just last year's flowers. I mean, come
Right.
on. We live in America, the
We
greatest
do.
country that's ever existed. You could pay
Right.
$5 and have fresh flowers.
And sometimes you just need a redo. Even some of ours that have perennials in them, the perennials are just, they're getting
Yeah,
tired in
right.
those pots. And it's just time. It's time to really freshen them up. So get the old stuff out first. Break up any, sometimes when we pull things out, the roots of those kind of hang out in the pot still. You want to get rid of those.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely probably either bring in all new potting soil, especially if it's pretty old.
Yeah.
Just freshen up those pots. And now if it's a really big pot, maybe just some fresh in there and mix it so that you're starting with some fresh soil. That is so important.
You know, we had a really big pot, and sometimes you have to reset all new soil because the roots had grown down and they clogged up the hole at the bottom. And when I dug out that soil, this is a big pot. I thought, no way, roots are down there. But it was all matted. I went, okay, that is it. We need to just start over. It was like 3 bags of soil, potting soil in this huge thing. But then I'm set for 5, 6, 7 years, however long it's been. So,
but that's very true because you want good drainage in those pots. Because if they stay too wet, you just created a bathtub, and there's maybe 2 or 3 plants that love that. The rest of them want that really good draining. So make sure, even if I'm just freshening in, I turn it so that I make sure I'm getting all those clumps and everything down at the bottom and really freshening it up. Another product that we have, which is wonderful for containers, is called Aqua Boost.
Oh, yeah.
So it's polymers that have mycorrhizas in it. What they do is almost like, not totally self-watering, but those little balls expand up with moisture, and then over time that moisture just kind of releases. So it gives you a better even watering on there, especially down around the roots. That is so important for that. I really recommend that product. And it's just great for plant health because it has the mycorrhizas in it.
Every time we plant anything, tree shrubs, anything, I add some of that to the bottom of the hole, but especially for raised beds and containers. Game changer. Edible plants, tomatoes, it'll keep it from cracking. It'll even out the moisture for your zucchinis. It gives you peppers that are bigger, less zesty, less sweeter, but less. They get off a little bit. They get so hot you can hardly touch the things, and it's like a sweet bell pepper.
Right.
They don't like to be stressed. It helps them, just evens everything out. Aqua Boost crystals are amazing.
Very, very important. Definitely. I even like to mix a little bit of our all-purpose fertilizer in with that new soil. You got to be careful with it because it is a fertilizer. We don't want to burn anything. But mixing a little bit of that in there with that soil, there again, you're creating a really strong root system. Because if you have a strong root system, you're going to have a very happy plant. So when we have these little itty bitty plants with no roots that just kind of suffer and die, especially when it gets warm, they're like, yeah, I'm checking out. See you later. So very important to get that soil correct, to get the right additives in there. And then your time to plant, and like I said, we have some amazing, beautiful perennials. We got some salvias, coreopsis, penstemons. We just got some really, really pretty perennials in there if you like to go with perennials. Or do what I do is I mix my perennials and my annuals because I like a little bit of both in there.
You like the cottage garden or
I
English
do.
garden look
So
very much.
it's okay to mix it. A lot of people are like, oh, can I do this? What I would say is mix plants that have like needs. So if you're putting succulents in, you're not going to want to put a petunia in there at the same time. Keep things that want the same amount of water, same amount of sun, get those together in your pot. It's going to be so much easier for you to take care of. It's going to be happy. It's going to grow so much better. The other thing with your containers is kind of pay attention to how much sun it's getting. Sometimes they're on patios and you think you're getting a lot of sun, but you're really not. You're getting very shaded, or you think it's shaded and you walk out there at 3 p.m. and it's
poor hydrangeas just melting in the sun,
just collapsing there going, help me. So kind of pay attention where you want to put those pots so that you can get the right plants in there, and then come talk to us. We can help you figure out the right plants to go into your containers. The other thing that I love to do, because I'm kind of a lazy gardener as well, is we get these beautiful hanging baskets in. I mean, right now we have the million bell baskets, some gorgeous petunia baskets, some geranium baskets that'll knock your socks off. And I just pop it out of that pot and I throw it right into my beautiful ceramic container.
She does it all the time, folks. You'd think it'd been growing there for months, and no, it was potted like an hour ago.
And it's just so easy. And it's you don't have to think about, well, how does this color look with this color? It's already done for you. Yeah. So I just pop those in and away I go. And I almost have a head start on the season because they're nice and full and they're big and they're beautiful.
I would say too, if you're planting, a lot of confusing folks. I was helping a customer and went, how many should I put in this container? How many plants will a container hold? Mm-hmm. And here's the insider tip. Plant your containers having the foliage touch the foliage. Mm-hmm. So it looks, you don't want to see soil left over in the container. So you're not reading that tag going space every 8 inches. You skip that. Yeah. You're planting foliage to foliage. So it looks like it's been growing there for its entire life. And then that will generally get you enough root space to kind of companion plants. It just looks better that way. So
I agree. Yeah, there's nothing worse than a sparse container.
If you got extra soil showing, plug a 6-pack in there. Get one extra little plant in there so it looks full.
Definitely. So wonderful selection. We'll have them for quite a few more weeks. So take a good look at your pots.
Come talk to Lisa and the crew, and they can help you design designer-styled pots in your yard. Ooh. Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners. Be right back.
Watters' companion plants in May are Vining Akebia, Indian Hawthorn, Prescott Sunshine Geraniums, and Purple Robe Locusts.
Incredible long clusters of purple flowers in May that look just like wisteria flowers hanging from this local bloomer.
The 8-inch fragrant flowers cover the tree profusely.
Super hardy and drought tolerant with a brisk growth rate of 2 feet in 1 year.
It's just the perfect backyard shade tree.
You'll find the shadiest trees here at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
And we are back with a very special guest. I've got the foremost flower, perennial, herb, veggie grower in the Southwest. Douglas Forst is the Armstrong growers representative for Arizona. It's all of Arizona, yes, right?
The whole state.
The whole state. Douglas comes in. He trains our staff on which flowers bring in the best hummingbirds, what's the biggest tomato, what's heirloom. He just trains us. I'm like, Douglas, you've got to share this with our listeners. And so Douglas Forst, thanks for being here. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So eat the microphone. I'll just kind of help you there we go. Okay. We got this. So Douglas, tell us about Armstrong Growers. How long you've been with them? Give us the inside scoop on what's going on in the agribusiness.
So Armstrong Growers is a part of a larger company called Armstrong Garden Centers. So from Southern California, if you're from Southern California, I've ever visited, we have over 20 independent garden centers there. And then Armstrong Growers not only grows for our own company, but also places like Watters Garden Center. I've been with the company going on 18 years.
That's amazing.
Enjoyed every moment of it. It's a very exciting company to work for, always growing. Something unique about us is that we are an ESOP, which means we're employee owned. So very proud to be an owner in this organization. It's full of really great people whose heart is really deep into our industry.
Yeah. So. You got ownership, which means you take pride in that plant that's growing, and you see that coming out. So that's the reason we partner with you. Absolutely. First of all, we don't have suppliers that are corporations. We go with co-ops or ESOPs because it supports small business, small growers, small family farms, We like that. And then we do find the plant quality does go up because it'll have more blooms. Plants show the love by blooming more for you. And Absolutely. So you all definitely have that grade A plus, that retail grade or better. And your new introductions are just amazing.
Oh yeah. So, our team of production is every year. They're actually gearing up in the next 2 weeks to go to spring trials in California to find next year's newest and best items for us to bring to market and trial this spring to make sure that they are tried and true. So super excited for our team to get out there and do that. And Armstrong Growers only sells to independently owned garden centers. So
love that.
That is that's what is at the core of our belief system, is to support. And we get a lot of benefits from having our own garden centers by learning what trends are, and what new varieties do well and what maybe others don't, that we're able to pass on to you. So a lot of really good information to help you guys be successful and have as much information as you need.
Explain the trials. So, because that's something listeners, homeowners don't really see behind the scenes, but is truly at the core of how you choose the right plants for the right spot. Explain the spring pack trials and what goes on there, and how just enlighten us.
Yeah. So basically you buy from us, and then we buy from breeders. And so they set up all of their displays throughout California. And then the growers actually go and meet with them. Luckily, we're large enough that we get to meet with a lot of the biggest and the best, and hopefully try to get exclusives that we'll be the first to grow.
Yeah.
But really, it's where we learn what is new to the market. What have they changed in, say, a petunia? Is it a different color? Is it going to have a different growth habit? Is it going to be more cold hardy, more heat hardy, things like that? So we have a whole team that travels for a whole week throughout that whole trial area, and really is able to hone in and find in categories that maybe we need to expand on, or just want to enhance the genetics that we're already growing. So
I love the one I was looking at one of your test gardens.
Yes.
And it was blistering hot out there, and you'd planted a whole bunch of stuff, and some things were suffering, languishing, and some were just going, I'm so happy. But you're trying to look for traits in plants and where they grow properly before you go in and produce. You're trying a few of them before you commit to, we'll need 20,000 of these, let's grow more.
Exactly.
You're trying to test them before you actually commit to that many plugs from the breeder. And if it's unique, that means you're paying a patent on them, an extra fee to get this unique thing. And that's a lot of money.
Yes. So that's why we trial everything before we bring it to market ourselves. And that's how we find out, does it truly use less water? So we can then market it that way, and the end consumer, the homeowner, can know that they really don't have to water this new plant as much as they would have, say, another one that they used to grow in their garden. So,
do you have a favorite plant that you like, that you grow?
Well, it's not that I can grow anymore, because I am from the East Coast, from the Philadelphia region, and hostas are my absolute favorite.
Oh,
plant.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's what actually got me into gardening.
Really?
My grandfather and my mother are really big gardeners, and just from a young age, just the simple dividing up of hostas that we would share amongst family and friends. That's really what started my love of horticulture. And so that continues to be my
that's
favorite
awesome.
plant. But unfortunately, living in Phoenix, Arizona, I can't
Hostas
grow it.
don't do so well.
No,
you'll have to have a cabin up here, because they grow great up here. So hosta is a great perennial shade plant here. You could grow them more sunny, but here it's truly a shade plant. It thrives.
So many different colors and textures, and it was just really, really fun to use those in the landscape.
Hosta Doug.
Yeah.
Doug Hosta. There's got to be a nickname or something we can come up with you for that.
Yeah.
So you've been in the industry for, you said 18 years, or?
No, I've been with Armstrong 18. I've been in it a little over 26
years. This industry.
Yes.
Once we get in, I've been in it 32 years. Once you get in, you don't want to get out, because it's still fun going to work every day, because you get to deal with living, breathing things and new things every year. It's not the same old geranium.
Right.
No, there's 3 new varieties we've never seen before. And that's this entire week is spring open house and starting. It's what's the new things this year. I never tire. It's like Christmas every time those trucks open up. And your trucks come in Wednesday afternoon, Armstrong. So every Wednesday afternoon, we have racks and racks and racks of flowers and vegetables and herbs coming off. I've seen that. I've thousands of racks.
Oh, yeah.
And it's still exciting every single time. I mean,
Yep.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I want to know, are we getting dinner plate dahlias this year? When do they finally start coming in, you think?
They're going to hit probably
May?
closer to middle of May to the end of May. But
Yeah.
we'll have them in those nice big 12-inch patio ready pots with
Yeah.
that dinner plate size.
That's
flower.
probably my favorite plant, or dahlia, all dahlias. But there's the dwarf ones, but those dinner plates, oh my gosh, the
amazing.
flowers are as big as your hand.
Yeah.
They just bloom so well, so easily. So
Yes.
anyway, I've got a favorite tree, I got a favorite shrub, I got a favorite flower, I got a favorite perennial. I
You
got
have
favorites.
to.
Yeah. Why don't you share? I see you brought a couple things in. My office, my studio smells so good.
Yeah, so even though it's just the beginning of the season right now, there's still plenty of plants that we can plant. Violas are one of them. Little bit smaller flower than the well-known pansy.
Show right to the camera. There we go.
But yeah, this is a really, really pretty sorbet deep orange color. Sometimes hard to find really dark orange flowers in our industry. But yeah, just a really fun one.
Truly is orange.
If
Wow.
we continue to get some frost and snow, it'll take it. So for those of you who are just really bugging to get some color in your pots or in the ground, a viola is a great option.
Violas and pansies and giant pansies or mammoth pansies. What's the difference between a viola and a pan? They're the same genetics,
right? It's just the size of the flower.
Is that it?
They both are profusely blooming.
Yeah.
Pansies, violas, I've noticed in my own gardening, I don't have to deadhead them as much. If I am a little lackadaisical on deadheading a viola, it will continue to really bloom its head off. Where my pansies, I definitely have to keep up with deadheading. And they love to be fed. So keep them going.
I find that most folks plant these cool season plants too late. I think that earlier you can plant these in fall, really. Go all the way into fall, October, plant, and they will bloom right through winter. A lot of folks will wait, my neighbor's pansies or violas have been so pretty. I want one too. They get the last crop in the end of April, May.
Right.
And then it's about to get hot. They don't like summer. No. They love the winter, which is awesome.
Yeah. So fall through, early spring is great. Another one is stock. I
got to call it. We're 10 minutes out of time. I'm sorry, but the station manager just doesn't let me go too long. So, hey, Douglas Forst with Armstrong Growers and his plants. Come here. Beautiful plants. Thanks for being there, taking 10 minutes with us. Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Look, if your mom, wife, or mother-to-be enjoys dead cut flowers and the peace that comes when dining with all those kids, then by all means, take her to your favorite buffet.
But if she really loves her garden, a gift card from Watters makes perfect sense. In reality, you're giving her 90 minutes of peace and quiet while she shops for her own flowers.
Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, the place where people who love their gardening moms love to shop.
So this week, we had some moisture. Some folks think we don't. We're like Phoenix. We have some seasons where we just see no rain. I mean, we have moisture every single month of the year. There are wet cycles, so the monsoon seasons. August, September is definitely a spike in the amount of moisture. March, there's always a spike in how much moisture that we have. So the plants adapt to that. But every month we have some moisture. And so this is the week where your plants are going to go crazy. Those California poppies are just going to ignite with new growth. Oh my gosh, it's going to be spectacular. Mine are starting to bloom already, but now they're really going to go, and it'll get everything else to take off too. Your Virginia creeper will just go wild. That's a native vine that's growing out in the yard. So it loves this kind of moisture in early spring. And so it will just take off. The other thing that will take off, be careful, the weeds will go crazy right now. So this is where if you put down your fertilizers, it's really going to activate it to help your plants. If you put down weed and grass stopper, there's a granular kind of it looks like fertilizer, but it keeps the seed from germinating. This kind of event really gets it in the soil so the seed will not take off. If you didn't do that, you're going to have dandelions galore. You're going to have goat head. That's one with a little burr on it where you step with the dog, step on it and go, no, my feet hurt so bad. That's goat head. That one is going to take off. It loves this kind of the spring and moisture, just starts to grow like crazy. That particular weed is an annual. It only comes back by seed. It never comes back by the root. So it's not a perennial. Perennial comes back from the same plant, from the same root, and then can spread and seed from there. But an true annual can come back, but never from the same root. It always comes back from the seed that was germinated or produced from last year's plant. And so that particular, most of the weeds we have here in the higher elevations, they're annuals. Tumbleweeds, it never comes back from the same root. It always comes back from these, it just tumbles across the valley and just spreads seed everywhere. But it comes back by seed. If you can put a weed and grass stopper, a barrier down there, it's going to eliminate them or greatly reduce the number of seeds that are coming back at you. So it just makes it easier. I mean, I've got irrigation clocks to run all my water, so I don't like watering. I mean, every once in a while, I like going out, it's, my coffee cup, and I go out and water something, my container gardens especially, but that's more of a therapy session for me. Not that my plants need water. I've got irrigation out there for them, but I just like to do it. And I commune with the hummingbirds and the butterflies. And then I don't like weeding, so I put weed and grass stopper down. In fact, when I get really stressed, I don't like weeding. When I get really stressed, I like deadheading flowers. I'm a flower grower. I just love color and fragrance and butterflies and hummingbirds and pollinators and all those things. It's a therapy session. When I have a really hard day at work, I've been dealing with insurance agents and attorneys and supply chain. Vendors are shorted me on my last truck. I'm just dealing with chaos, which is kind of business owners. When I really want to have fun, I go talk to gardeners, because that's what I love to do. That's why I love owning a garden center. I get to talk gardening to gardeners. And then I really love taking my phone, putting it down and going out in the yard and I lose track of time when I'm in my gardens, when I'm out there just plugging a new flower in or just deadheading some flowers or smelling the lilacs in bloom this week. That's magical. That's therapy. It reinvigorates, kind of gets me excited. And so it's a good for me. I lose track of time. And so I think that's what gardening does for so many of us. So less therapy sessions and more garden sessions, and you probably have just as much fun or just as more health benefits. Well, that's it for this week's show. Throughout the week, Lisa and I camp out here at Watters Garden Center. We love talking to fans of the show.
Watters Garden companion plants in May are Vining Akebia, Purple Robe Locust, Prescott Sunshine Geraniums, and Indian Hawthorn.
Wind is no problem for this Indian hawthorn.
Rose-colored flowers cover this spring bloomer that often repeat blooms in fall.
Dark blue berries adorn this compact bush that takes the wind and soaks up the sun like a native.
Perfect for low-maintenance gardens with virtually no pruning, ever.
Every backyard should have at least one, and only found here at Watters Garden Center in Prescott.
For a more fruitful garden, increase success in the landscape that just feels better, then tune in daily to the Mountain Gardener podcast. Subscribe through your favorite podcast streamer or visit wattersgardencenter.com. Better yet, visit me directly right here at Watters Garden Center. Thanks for tuning in.